Welcome to the overview of normalization video. In this video, you will get an overview of how normalization works in the Summer 15 release of BMC Remedyforce. Normalization is a BMC Remedyforce feature that enables system administrators to standardize data in BMC Remedyforce CMDB 2.0 and the models object. You can normalize data that is manually entered into BMC Remedyforce CMDB as well as data that is imported from external sources such as discovery tools, spreadsheets, or other CMDB or asset management tools. This process is especially crucial when data is imported on an ongoing basis from external sources. For a single attribute, values imported from different sources might differ in format. The normalization process applies rules to this inconsistent data and then updates the normalized data in BMC Remedyforce CMDB. This process also applies to normalizing data in the models object. Let's look at an example of how normalization helps in standardizing data in BMC Remedyforce CMDB. Consider CIs from 3 external data sources that use different names for one manufacturer. You import CIs from all these external data sources. This results in inconsistent data in BMC Remedyforce CMDB. You can create a normalization rule to define one manufacturer name as a normalized value and the other 2 names as aliases. When you run the normalization process, the 2 aliases are replaced with the normalized value, ensuring that your data is consistent. Next, let's look at the end-to-end steps for normalizing data. Start with identifying fields whose data you want to normalize. These fields could be in the base element or the model's object. Remember that normalization is supported only on non-unique fields of the types text, text area, and numeric. Create normalization rules on the identified fields and define the normalized values and aliases. You can activate the rules after you are ready to start using the rules on records. Define fields for which you want to generate exceptions to the normalization rules. Take the example of the version name field in the base element object or the manufacturer field in the models object. To skip a field value during the normalization process, create an ignored value rule. Note that the ability to create ignored value rules is available only in BMC Remedyforce Summer 15 Patch 1 and later. Start the normalization process and define the interval at which normalization rules should be processed. By default, the time interval is 30 minutes. Manually enter data or import data into BMC Remedyforce CMDB. Review the list of generated exceptions to normalization rules. For each field, you can view a consolidated list of pending records. You can manage the exceptions that are generated in different ways based on your requirements, such as create a new rule for each value or map a value as an alias of an existing rule. The process of importing data and viewing and managing exceptions is a continuous process. To create normalization and ignored value rules, navigate to the Remedyforce Administration tab, click the Configure CMDB 2.0 tile, and then click the Normalization Rules subtile. To apply normalization rules that you have created, run the normalization process. To schedule the normalization process, navigate to the Remedyforce Administration tab, click the Configure CMDB 2.0 tile, and then the General CMDB Settings subtile. In the Schedule Normalization Rules section, you can specify the time interval at which normalization rules must be processed. By default, normalization rules are processed every 30 minutes. If you are processing a large amount of data, such as more than 50,000 records, BMC recommends that you increase the time interval. Click the Start Normalization Process button. During the normalization process, if a field value in a record qualifies for 2 or more normalization rules that are defined for that field, only one of the rules is applied. To view the errors that are generated during the normalization process, click View Scheduler Exceptions. You can view a maximum of 100 most recent exceptions. During each scheduled run, the normalization process checks for active normalization rules and ignored value rules that were created or updated after the last scheduled run. If no normalization rules were created or updated after the last scheduled run, the normalization process considers only those records that were created or updated after the last scheduled run. If no records were created or updated, the normalization process is completed and no further action is taken. If new or updated records are found, only those records are considered for further processing. If new or updated rules are defined, all records are considered for further processing. The normalization process checks if any active ignored value rules are found for a specific field. If the field value in a record matches an active ignored value rule, the active normalization rules for this field are not applied to the record. Otherwise, all active normalization rules for this field are applied to the record. These set of steps are performed for each field object combination, such as the model field of the base element object. Records that match active normalization rules are updated. The process checks if there are any fields for which exceptions need to be generated. If no exceptions to normalization rules are found for these fields, the normalization process is completed. Otherwise, normalization exceptions are generated and then the normalization process is completed. During the normalization process, conflicting rules will create inconsistent results. Let's look at a few scenarios that lead to conflicting results. In the first scenario, BMC1 is defined as an alias in two rules with different normalized values. In the second scenario, BMC1 is an ignored value in an ignored value rule, whereas it is defined as an alias in another normalization rule. And in the third scenario of conflicting rules, BMC1 is a normalized value in one normalization rule and an alias in another normalization rule. To manage generated exceptions, navigate to the Remedyforce Administration tab, click the Configure CMDB 2.0 tile, and then click the Normalization Exception subtile. For each field object combination, you can view the total number of pending records and the total number of approved records. For each exception listed in the pending list, you can create a new rule for each value, map a value as an alias of an existing rule, ignore a value, or even delete a value. In case of the model field in the base element object, you can also create a model record from an exception. Note that the options to ignore a value, delete a value, or create a model record from a value are available only in the BMC Remedyforce Summer 15 Patch 1 release and later. If you choose not to take any action on the exceptions, they continue to be displayed in the pending list. For more information about normalizing data, see docs.bmc.com. We hope this video has helped you familiarize yourself with the normalization capability in the Summer 15 release of BMC Remedyforce. Thank you for watching.